Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome timing שלכם אדיר. I would like to welcome my good friend, Mr. Gordan Grlic Radman, Croatian Foreign Minister, for visiting Israel. By the way, we met each other previous week in Brussels in the context of the Association Council between the EU and Israel. Croatia is a friendly country, and we would like to strengthen relations between our both countries. We discussed it in details. Croatia is also a great destination for Israeli tourists and a safe country to visit. And we discussed, of course, naturally, all relevant aspects of bilateral relations. I'm also thank the Croatian minister for inviting me to Croatia. I will use it, I hope sooner than later, but I'm thankful for that. I'll have a few words with regard to the situation here in our country. As you already know, Israel was ready to make the framework to release our hostages longer. We agreed to the American proposal to make it longer with 50 days of the Ramadan and Passover in a return to a release of more of our hostages. Unfortunately, it was rejected by Hamas, even though we accepted the idea, and this is why we were not able to move forward for the time being. So, due to the fact that the first phase of the temporary ceasefire was over, today we froze all the trucks that entered to Gaza Strip during the last 42 days, and we will always be ready to negotiate according to our principles, but I want to emphasize the fact that we fulfilled all our commitments until the very last day, which was yesterday. And the question is, what is going on when you do have negotiations? And our position is that during negotiations, hostages should be released. And we are looking forward with the hope that these things will be changed, but anyhow, we will work according to these principles.
Thank you so much, and shalom, shalom, my dear friend Gideon. It's really a privilege to be on fourth time in Israel and Jerusalem, and I do feel here and like at home. Thank you so much for a warm welcome, for a kind hospitality, Mr. Minister, dear friend Gideon. Yes, today I had an extremely constructive and friendly conversation, a meeting with our Israeli Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gideon Saar, as part of my official visit to the State of Israel. This meeting reaffirmed the strong partnership and alliance between the Republic of Croatia and the State of Israel, based on shared values and political, economic, and security cooperation as well. We exchanged views on key global and regional challenges, during which I reiterate Croatia's clear and consistent support for Israel's security and self-defense in accordance with international law, particularly in the context of the recent security threats. As a country that has itself experienced war aggression, Croatia expresses full solidarity with the Israeli people following the terrorist attacks of Hamas of 7th October. From day one, we have strongly advocated for the unconditional release and return of the abducted Israeli hostages. I have personally met with the families of the hostages, Kuperstein and Argamani, both in Israel and Zagreb, and I deeply welcome every piece of good news about the release of their loved ones. The Croatian government has also welcomed the current ceasefire in Gaza and the release of hostages, and that today, of course, and also at today's meeting, I once again emphasize the importance of continuing diplomatic efforts to achieve long-term peace and stability in the region, with Croatia remaining committed to a responsible and constructive role. I also expressed my satisfaction with the cooperation during Croatia's successful presidency of the IRA, it's a National Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, and congratulate Israel on its chairmanship of the IRA. We also discussed cooperation at the multilateral level, having in mind that we have excellent relations on the bilateral level, but also at the multilateral level. I express my gratitude to Israel for its support in Croatia's accession process to the OECD, and we explored possibilities for strengthening cooperation within the EU, the UN, and other international organizations where Croatia strongly support Israel. And I appreciate very much our meeting at the Foreign Affairs Council last Monday in Brussels, and Croatia repeatedly and convening association council, the council between EU and Israel, and really it happened also that Croatia strongly supported advocates. Croatia was a vocal proponent of this 17th, to my knowledge, a meeting with the Israeli minister, and it was an excellent exchange between the Foreign Minister of the European Union and yourself and my dear friend Gideon. We expect continued Israeli support in the context of Croatia's candidacy for touristic UN touristic executive council, for re-election to the Economic and Social Council of the UN, and yes, as I mentioned, Executive Council of the World Tourism Organization. So the Israeli side, we asked, Croatia has a large diaspora all over the world, and we would like to follow the Israeli example. And so my dear friend Minister Saar promised to organize a meeting probably in May with experts and with my colleagues from Croatia. That's good. Thanks so much for this support, and we would like to exchange and also your experience, and just in order to adopt for some principle from your side, for your experience and your expertise. In conclusion, our excellent bilateral relations will continue to develop through concrete initiatives with special emphasis on economic, scientific, and security cooperation. And of course, we see a potential for cooperation in the energy sector, having in mind that Croatia is an entry point, given its geopolitical position. Adriatic Sea, and Croatia became an energy hub for the region and beyond. So I also extended an invitation, although there is an open invitation to visit Croatia, but there is a well-known Croatia's Dubrovnik Forum. That means in Dubrovnik, 50% of the success is the location. To Minister Saar for an official visit to Croatia as well to the Dubrovnik Forum this summer. So. Thank you so much, and I appreciate very much. So with my delegation here, and to be in a few days here in Jerusalem, it's a very beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
So much once again.
Thank you. Question, please. Yes.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Minister Saar. In terms of the blockade on Gaza, is this coordinated with the U.S.? And if so, when was this coordination? And Foreign Minister Radman, do you believe that a stoppage of aid into the Gaza Strip is in keeping with humanitarian law that you referenced during your remarks?
אני התייחסתי קודם באנגלית, אז אני אתייחס גם בעברית. האמריקאים כמובן מקבלים את עמדתנו ומכירים אותה. אני מזכיר שבשעתו היה מכתב צעד, עוד בתקופת הממשל הקודם, שקבע את העניין הזה שאין מעבר אוטומטי בין השלבים. וכרגע מה שהיה זה אפילו מעבר לתיאום. האמריקאים הניחו, סטיב ויטקוף, השליח המיוחד של האום, הניח הצעה. ההצעה נועדה להאריך את התקופה במשך 50 ימים בתקופה של הרמדאן והפסח. אנחנו קיבלנו את ההצעה, למרבה הצער, הצד השני לא קיבל אותה, וכפי שהסברתי, על כן אנחנו בעצם סיימנו את השלב הראשון. המחויבות להכנסת ההיקף הזה שנכנס היא הייתה לשלב הראשון. השלב הראשון הסתיים, we are implementing the principle no free meals.
Thank you, Minister Saar. Mr. Radman?
Yeah. So we see the ceasefire as a very good news. Of course, it is of the utmost importance to continue the negotiation in order to secure the release of all hostages and to ease the humanitarian suffering in Gaza. And as regards to future of Gaza, we see no place for a Hamas administration, and we are for extension of ceasefire possible, and of course once again to release of all hostages. So it's our.
Thank you. Next question. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Limassol Reuters. I wanted to know, I know that you mentioned that Hamas had broken through the framework, not reached the framework, but according to the initial framework, Israel was meant to enter negotiations for the second phase already. So I wanted to know if you thought perhaps there were shortcomings on the Israeli side, or if there are second phase negotiations.
We are ready to negotiate the second phase according to our principles. Probably we will have a difference of opinion that will be discussed during negotiations. The question is different. The question is, what do you do during this time? Are you going to give this ceasefire for free without hostages to be released? This is something we will not accept. So yes, we are ready to negotiate on the second phase according to our principles. We also agreed to the American proposal to a longer framework of further 50 days during the Ramadan and the Passover, but in this framework, according to the American proposal, a release of hostages. Negotiations without a release of hostages for itself is not something that we accept.
Thank you. Yes, please.
If Hamas doesn't relent, then two questions.
I didn't get the second question.
The Prime Minister's statement today spoke of possible further consequences if Hamas doesn't relent. What further consequences could there be for Hamas?
Okay, you will see about the second question. You will see what will be the further consequences. You saw the first today. With regard to this starvation, that was a lie during all this war. That was a lie. And we saw that when our hostages were released, the terrorists and the crowd looked perfectly fine. The only ones that looked that they were starved there was our hostages. Altogether, you have a huge number of trucks entered last 42 days to Gaza Strip. They have huge amounts of humanitarian aid there, probably in the hands of Hamas. It became its number one financial income for Hamas during that time. And they are not going to get it for free. If they will be ready to not, there was an American proposal, but maybe there could be another proposal, but the principles are clear. Negotiations should be connected to release of hostages. This is very important. As long as this principle will be met, we are ready for that. For 50 days, for 30 days, whatever.
Thank you. Yes, please. Yes.
How do you assess Croatia's accession process to the OECD, and in what ways can Israel further support Croatia in this context?
Well, I said to the minister we support Croatia to join the OECD. This is our position. We know there are processes there. I also was involved in, during the time that Israel was a candidate, I was an education minister, and I dealt with that process that took place in various fields, not only education. Anyhow, we support Croatia to join the OECD, and I hope it will happen as soon as possible.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz said that Israel may take some actions to protect the Druze near Damascus border. So, do you think it might cause our problems with Syrian regime or with the Turkey regime and Turkey government Turkey government that also protects and back up Syrian regime? Thank you.
Israel has great connections with the Druze. We have also Druze minority here in Israel. Altogether, it is important that the new rulers of Damascus will respect rights of minorities, including the rights of the Druze. I emphasized in the past, and I'm emphasizing again, it is not an elected government that was elected by the Syrian people. It is not. It is a bunch of people, a bunch of jihadists that controlled in the past the region of Idlib, and by force they took also other parts, including Damascus. It doesn't mean there is a right to initiate hostilities towards minorities, whether be it the Druze, the Kurds, or the Alawites.
Thank you. Last question, please. Yes.
I have another question for both of you. Then, if either of you saw the interview with released hostage Ali Sharabi, and if you have any impressions from that interview.
Thank you.
Of course, I saw this interview, and very strong interview, very painful and emotional interview, and I asked to coordinate a meeting with Mr. Sharabi in order to hear as much as I did, also with other hostages that came back from there, to hear in person what he went through there in captivity.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I haven't seen this interview, however, but so I have an empathy and to the families and to the member of the hostages. And I, as I mentioned in my intervention, my introductory speech, I received twice members of the family, and I'm so happy that one of this the lady, she was released. And there is in my office there is a picture, photo of the young boy, 22 older Kupferstein, who is. I'm happy that he is still alive, but he is still a hostage, and I hope I'm looking forward to be released as soon as possible. So it is in my office. They brought me.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
Can you show the picture again?
Sorry.
Thank you. This press conference is now over.